Hi, it's Dr. Winbush with Sankofa Healing Arts and Functional Medicine, here today to talk about hot weather and cold food. This summer's been hot, not just here in the US, but across the whole planet. And the hot weather is likely to continue this summer and summers to come. Hot weather often means cold drinks and cold food. Who wants to heat the house up with lots of cooking when the temperatures outside are scorching? But sometimes too much cold food has the potential to heat things up on the inside as well, and to contribute to conditions of internal heat, or what we might more commonly call inflammation. So how does this happen? To understand it a little bit better, we need to talk about something called food energetics. What are they? Food energetics refers to how certain inherent characteristics of foods and their preparation can affect our internal state. This is something that we pay a lot less attention to in our culture. Instead, we often emphasize more of the nutritional components, such as what foods are highest in magnesium or calcium or vitamin C. Some people have called this approach, prevalent in our culture, nutritionism, or the judging of a food's value by its constituent parts. Food energetics, on the other hand, is a more holistic appraisal that holds that the foods that we eat have ways in which they engage our metabolic processes owing to their inherent nature. So using this approach, we can characterize foods in many ways. The way that I want to talk about today is their thermal quality. How warming or cooling are they? Or in the extreme, how hot or cold are they? While this is partially a function of the temperature at which food is served, that is not the only aspect. The thermal quality of food is also inherent, and it can be relative. Let me explain. So for instance, vegetables tend to be more cooling than, say, animal proteins. And within the spectrum of vegetables, root vegetables like parsnips or sweet potatoes tend to be warming, and vegetables like asparagus and celery tend to be more cooling. Certain meats like lamb are considered more warming than poultry or fish, for instance. It's important to remember that there is nothing inherently good or bad about a warming or cooling food. It is more a matter of how this quality of the food matches up with what the person needs at the time. So, in a season where it's very hot, it can be understandable that people are going to feel hot and want to cool off and want to incorporate more cooling foods. However, doing this in a way that is workable for your constitution can best be done if we understand some basics about food energetics, like I just explained. Even at the basic level, this understanding can help you work with this concept in your day-to-day life. So with that introduction, let's get back to our summer diet of ice cream cones and cold salads, for instance. In this case, when we eat ice cream or salads or lots of other types of cold or raw foods, to adequately digest these foods, the body will need to expend energy to bring them up to body temperature. And it is only at the body's normal temperature that the digestive enzymes that we rely on to break down our food can work appropriately. In addition, many people are dealing with weakened digestive power. This can be due to things like stress and low stomach acid production, which have a whole host of reasons that are also interrelated. So for instance, low stomach acid can be in part due to stress or medications or nutritional deficiencies. In addition, imbalances in the microbiome can affect our digestion. So, where are we? If you already have a taxed digestive system and then make it harder with things like lots of cold foods, your digestion may suffer. Insufficiently broken down food will make it to the small intestine, where it may become more of an irritant to the intestinal walls, and also trigger the immune system to activate in ways since it doesn't recognize what's been digested but poorly digested as food. This can ensue a cycle of inflammation and further immune system activation that may just be localized to your digestive tract and result in other digestive symptoms like bloating and belching and burping, or it may become more generalized and lead to inflammatory conditions throughout the body. So a regular diet of cold food and damp inducing foods may set the stage for inflammatory conditions. So what do I suggest? First of all, just checking in. How are things going with your digestion? Are there any signs that it's not going well? Are you burping or belching a lot or getting a lot of bloating or have undigested food in your stool? If so, you may do better with a more supportive diet, which would include more cooked foods and potentially more warming foods. There are ways to create a more warming approach also even to certain colder foods like salads. Consuming them more at room temperature, adding foods with an inherent warming quality like ginger to your dressings, adding some already cooked roasted veggies are examples of how you might do that. Seasonality also matters. So while we are still in the height of summer, but as we begin in the next month or so to start to move into fall, balance is of the utmost, and start to shift to more warming foods to help rebuild your digestion so that any issues that have been taxed by the warm weather foods are addressed and prepare you for cooler temperatures, which are surely ahead. I appreciate you taking a listen, and thanks from Sankofa Healing Arts and Functional Medicine.